We're live. Hey everyone, Branden Densmore here, family, friends, colleagues. I am doing this live video on my personal Facebook page, so hello everyone. And today is a very special day. We have Marilyn Redmond here, and it's your birthday, correct, Marilyn?
Oh, it surely is. I turn 84 today.
It's Marilyn's 84th birthday, and I'm really excited to have her here. We're going to be talking about some really mind-blowing concepts. And so Marilyn, over her 84 years being here on planet Earth, has accumulated some deep wisdom that she'd like to share with the community. And just a little bit of background, she's an ordained minister, a past life regressionist, a medium, and a soul healer, as well as an award-winning author. She's written many books, and her newest book is called... What's your newest book called, Marilyn?
A Spark of Truth. It just came out on Amazon this week.
Spark of Truth. So if you want to check out her book, you can get that. There's going to be a link in the description. And
I have other books on Amazon too.
Yes, she's written many books, and I noticed that that you've been at this for a while and you have a lot of experience, which is why I'm so glad to have you here. And so you're able to, it says that your books are sent out internationally to prisons, and that you have this uncanny ability to find the root causes of problems.
Well, that's when we solve them. That's what makes the psyche change. When our heart changes, we change.
Absolutely. So why don't you just give us the rundown on who Marilyn Redmond is?
Well, I'll try to keep a short story from a long one. I was born and raised into a dysfunctional family of addictions, mental illness, domestic violence, depression, PTSD, you name it. I've been through it, basically, most of those things and more. And coming through them, I didn't understand what was going on when I was growing up. And it was what I would call my version of hell. There was no light in my inside. In fact, I got addicted to the prescriptions from the psychiatrist trying to get help. What's wrong with me? And ended up in treatment and found that one pill and one drink is 6 times the effect, and that I wasn't a bad person. I was a sick person needing to get well. And that put me on a spiritual path and brought me the answers. Oh, just a minute. Sorry about this. Path to find the answers I've been looking for over 50 years. So it was a matter of changing my focus, moving out of being a fear-based person into a love-based person. And all my experiences have shown me how to do that, which we're going to talk about today. So in my experience, I have worked the 12 steps and been in other spiritual groups besides. And the people that send out my books to prisons are the Edgar Cayce Foundation, the ARE. And it's a matter of moving into the love of who we really are, moving from our heads into our hearts. And so in doing that, I have been very blessed, and I'm still alive because my husband tried, which I want to talk about in a little bit. My husband tried to kill me several times. I tried suicide to get out of the mess I was in. And, nothing worked until I found the spiritual steps, and thank goodness for that.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know, did you go through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous or a different 12-step program?
Well, I'm in 3 12-step programs. God put me in Al-Anon first because I was so codependent. And from there, I never went home from the treatment, the family group treatment, 3 weeks. They intervened me for alcoholism because what I found out is, the pills were just the same as alcohol, only in dry form.
Mm.
And what I also found out was that it all started with my childhood. So I'm also an ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. So the combination of all 3 12 steps has been my solution. Plus, I've also been in the Edgar Cayce spiritual program and studied A Course in Miracles and followed several channelers on the internet and read their books, Hicks and channels Abraham, I follow Chiron and some others. So I've searched beyond what normally people often search, looking for answers. I've been called a research journalist, in fact. So, and that's how my last book became popular, or and now in print, because I found out where all of our chaos and craziness in our planet is coming from, and I reveal that as I guess you'd call me a whistleblower. But it all came from just finding out what's going on with me.
So, for those of you who are just tuning in right now, I'm on the line here live with Marilyn Redmond. She's a award-winning author, a healer, a soul healer, psychic medium, regressionist, ordained minister, and it's her 84th birthday, which is really cool. And I'm so glad to have you here. If you guys have comments or questions, you can go ahead and drop those in the video and we'll respond. They should pop up on our screen if we have it enabled, but I apologize. This is the first live video that I've done in years, so we're kind of working out with the technical details. So this is a campfire conversation really between Marilyn and myself. And you first contacted me because you saw one of my podcasts. I don't know if it was Next Level Soul or another.
It was Next Level Soul. I love watching those programs of his.
Yeah. Yeah. So you contacted me after seeing that and you started telling me about yourself. And it was just so fascinating that I wanted to bring you on and to share this wisdom with the community that you've gathered over the past 84 years.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to cover 3 points today. And it's a bit of an unorthodox discussion. There may be things here that you haven't heard or considered. So just an FYI. And the first thing that you wanted to talk about was forgiveness. And it's another perspective for overcoming domestic violence. So why don't you share that with the community to start?
Well, when I got into the 12-step program, all the ones I mentioned, I found out that I had to forgive people, but I didn't understand that in those days. So one of the nights, my husband, who was an alcoholic, psychopath, sex addict, rageaholic, had supposedly in the program.
That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. I married what I was used to. That's what I grew up with. I found out like attracts like. And as his disease progressed, he got more violent as time went on. And I was wanting to go to a meeting that night, and he came home really enraged because our printing business he wanted to talk over problems, and he'd lost his job through alcoholism. And so we started this printing business, and I was still teaching, and I was trying to keep everything afloat. And for some reason, because of the programs being more spiritual, I started listening to my intuition, and I was told to go to the meeting and not stay home. Well, that went against his ideas. So when I got home the first time from going against his wishes, I got a broken tailbone that night. So then this happened again several weeks later. He wanted me to stay home, and he was having a rage, and it just seemed right for me to go to the meeting. So I did, and came home that night. And he chased me around the house, got me cornered in a real small bedroom. And he was his arms were, he didn't have any shirt on. His arms were shaking. That's how upset he was. I'm scared spitless because he got me cornered behind a twin bed of my son's in his bedroom. And I was, no way out. And he jumped over a king size bed just to rape me one time. So this little twin bed was no deterrent. I knew I was a goner. And all of a sudden, time stopped. The presence all of a sudden became real. And I was told, I'm giving you the short version, I was told to pray for him, to think of what I heard the minister say at church for Easter, but it wasn't Easter. So that was puzzling. But what I came up with was, God forgive him, for he knows not what he does. And I said, I learned it in a meeting to say, God bless him. And so I did. And he's standing there like a statue, and he doesn't come any closer.
So you said this happened in the moment when he jumped over the bed to attack you?
No, this is when we're in the bed. This is another time when he had me cornered in the bedroom.
Okay.
And so time stood still, and I didn't know he was standing there. I'm traumatized. And so I said it again, God forgive him, for he knows not what he does. And the voice said, now you can leave the room. And I said, you got to be kidding. He's standing right there in front of the door. You know, how am I going to get out? Well, angels were holding him. That's why he was like a statue, couldn't get any closer. And so they surrounded me with angels, and I walked out of the room, turned around to see what was going to come behind me. And he walked out of the room with a look on his face. I wish I'd had a camera. I mean, it was quite a look. And he went off to one end of the house, and I went off to the other end of the house, and he never touched me again. And in praying about what happened, they said, this is what I found out over time, was that in my trying to defend myself, because I'd been attacked so many times in my past, subconsciously I was attacking him with my defending myself, and subconsciously he felt attacked. So visually he was attacking me and coming back and just protect himself. Only so people see the visual repercussion and not the woman sending out the invisible message from your subconscious. And so when I found out that I had been perpetrating it, it took me 18 years to get feelings enough to actually receive this message. And what I discovered is when in forgiving somebody, you're actually giving up the past for a new day. So all of this stuff was triggered from his past childhood abuse, which he told me once before we got married. And I was going to save him. That's why Al-Anon was so important. And I thought I had enough love for both of us. I was clicked right on like a barnacle to him. I was going to save him. And he's looking for a mother figure in security. And so we were two peas in the same pod. We came from the same domestic violent background, alcoholic background, mental illness background. We had the same issues, and like attracts like. So we were bound to be in that relationship. I know today he was my, when I got to college, that was where we met and stayed together. So it was a matter of what goes around comes around. So in my defending myself, I actually was precipitating the domestic violence, and most women do not want to take responsibility for that. It's our culture says it's the man's fault. They put him in jail or whatever, and send him to anger management, and that just is a Band-Aid, because you have to go deeper than that to really solve it and resolve it. So I've learned a lot that domestic violence meant I had to change. And I prayed at one point, God, I don't want to be in another domestic violent marriage of rape. So, what the answer came back then, Marilyn, you have to change yourself to be the person you want to have a relationship. What you are is a magnet. And when you change, you will attract that person, which has actually happened. Through all my work with releasing the fear, guilt, shame, and all the other issues I've had to release, identify, coming from my ego, edging God out. In releasing those, I've been able to replace it. Step 7 says, humbly remove. And each time I do, I was told in meditation to replace each one. You do it one by one. You can't. I tried for 2 years just to remove my fear. It didn't work. So I had to list them all the guilt, the shame, everything that had gone on, all the abuse, and replace it with love and grace. And so my heart started to fill with love, and I understood. And I went into having, after praying for him, I went into having compassion that he went through all of that childhood abuse that he went through, so he could come in and play that part for me in my life in this lifetime. And we'd been in domestic violence for several past lives, and this was the lifetime to heal it. And through my praying for him, I'm probably the only domestic violent wife that didn't have to leave with nothing. He couldn't. What I discovered is a psychopath can't handle love. So he started moving out. And in my going to Al-Anon, I started getting my power back. And he couldn't handle that. And he'd come on stronger, and I'd keep praying, and he'd move out again. We went through that for a while until I said, that's the end. And
Marilyn.
Yes.
So I can see how a lot of people might take offense to what you're saying. Like you said, so he was about to like abuse you, right? He had you cornered.
I thought I was going to be another Nicole Simpson because he tried to kill me several times.
And in that moment, you said, forgive him for he doesn't know what he does. So I can see all of the red flags, the objections, the people going crazy. Like, how can she be saying that this is the thing for someone who's in a situation of domestic abuse? Like, how can you just say, forgive him for he knows not what he does when he beats me up, when he abuses me? What would you say to somebody with that kind of an objection?
What I know today is I was emotionally 3 years old, having gone through all the abuse. I went through lots of sexual abuse. That's why I married a sex addict. And he had gone through all his emotional abuse at a very young age, 3, 4, 5 years old. We were two little kids trying to make it while we looked like adults. We'd never grown up emotionally. And so what the spiritual program did for me is brought me maturity and changed my heart, so I didn't have to be the victim anymore. Give me the power back that I didn't have, to be able to stand up, not be the people pleaser. I didn't have to save him. I didn't have to save my mother, in her case, from her domestic violence. I don't have to save the world, so to speak. I have to save me. And I saved me through changing my mind and my heart. And so we weren't adults, even though I taught school all those years that we were married and had excellent evaluations. We looked good in the community. My neighbor after the divorce said, I thought you had the perfect marriage. So we looked good while we were dying on the inside.
Okay. So Marilyn, let's break this down. How is this useful to the viewers? How can they utilize forgiveness?
Well, that's a beautiful question. What I found out was I have to take responsibility for my life. And if I'm pointing the finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointing back. And I came across a Hawaiian prayer called the Oponopono prayer from
Okay,
Hawaii.
before we go into that, let's touch on that in just a second. We have like 6 viewers right now. If you guys have a comment or a question for either me or Marilyn, go ahead and put that in the comments. We should be able to respond here. And I have Marilyn Redmond here with us today live on Facebook, and she is a spiritual healer, a medium, and an ordained minister. She's an award-winning author, and she turns 84 today. So we're having a campfire conversation, and she's sharing her wisdom. So let's move on to the second point that you want to make, which, how do you pronounce it? The prayer, the
Oponopono prayer is a Hawaiian prayer. A doctor, a psychologist in Hawaii, was the head of a mental institution. And each day he would say this Hawaiian prayer for each of the people in the mental institution. And it was so effective, they had to close down the hospital because everybody got well.
Wow.
What he said was, I'm sorry, I forgive me, thank you, I love you. And so when you're saying I'm sorry, what I discovered is I set up the script before I came in. Those were the lessons I spiritually needed to grow beyond where I had been in past lives. So when I take responsibility that I set this all up, then I can say, forgive me. Let's put it in. Forgiving is putting it in the past. And that's done and over with, and we don't have to continue it. Thank you. I thank him for playing his part. This is where I went into compassion. I realized that in fact, he came to me and told me this in spirit. He was still alive. And he said, you know how much I loved you? This tears me up. He says, I know today we
this
come
is the man that you were in a relationship married with, who was
30 years.
Domestically abusing you, right?
Right. And
Okay.
for 30 years. And he said, and I know today we come in soul groups. And he said, nobody in the group would volunteer to play that part so you could grow beyond it. And he said, I finally decided I would agree to play that part for you. So he went through his childhood abuse so I would connect with him and learn how to move beyond it. So And then I love you. That's real love, when somebody gives up their life to help somebody move into a better place.
Mm.
And I have great compassion for him today, that what he endured. I won't go into the details, but it was critical and crucial.
Yeah.
So it was really, I had several lives of past life where we were in domestic violence. And this was the time for us to clear the slate, so to speak. And so at this point, he's passed over, but he still connects with me spiritually. Certain songs, we were musicians. We met in the music department in college. Certain songs come on the radio, and I know he's right there with me. And I have a lot of understanding today that we bring these lessons into our lives. They're our teachers. And instead of seeing it as a challenge, I see it as an opportunity to grow beyond where I've been in the past.
Mm.
And he projected his pain onto me. I projected my pain onto him. And that's the violence.
Wow.
Wounded people wound people. I had to quit being wounded. I had to heal my soul.
So how do you think people can use this prayer? Can you say the prayer again and explain what it means?
I start out with saying I'm sorry. Well, because I wrote the script and they're playing everybody, my mother, my sister, all, my father, my stepdad, they're all playing their parts for me. It's, Shakespeare says life is a play and we're all characters in that play. There's a lot of truth in that. Mm. So it's my play and they're the actors in it. I actually had a vision at one point where he and the family were on the stage of a theater. And I'm standing up applauding. You played your part so well. I bought into it hook, line, and sinker.
Interesting.
And so when
I'm sorry.
And then the next part is, forgive me. You see, if I'm still living in the past, I want to get out of the past to live. That's the next part we're going to talk about is coming into the moment. So I'm giving up the past history of what we've gone through before so I can move on.
Okay.
And it's not about him being a good person. When you forgive somebody, it's not about them being a good person or accepting that they're crazy in this case, or they're, mentally ill. It's about saying, I cut the cord, like the ball and chain you're connected to. You cut the chain so that you can move on and you don't carry that emotional baggage with you.
That's beautiful.
And so thank you. I owe him a great deal of thanks. I wouldn't be the person I am today if he hadn't played that part. I wouldn't have grown into the spirituality of my life today, which is the basis of who I am today. I am not that scared 3-year-old little girl afraid to speak up, never had a voice in my family. No talk, no trust, no feelings growing up, and the same in my marriage. Today I have a life. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow and learn how to leave it in the past. And thank you for the opportunity. And then I love you. Well, what I learned as a teacher was you love the child, but not the behavior.
Okay.
So we're all one in spirit of love. So I love him as a person who helped me today. It's not that he wants to get back in another marriage in another lifetime. I'm not sure I'm up to it, but he wants to. And we've had talks about that in the spirit. And so today I can live in the moment and I don't have to react off of the abuse. That's what I was doing. I was defending myself. And in A Course in Miracles, it says you have to give up all defense. That's the only solution. You can't send out and project your pain to somebody else. So if somebody projects their pain onto me, and I've had some big lessons in this just recently, I just send love to them. That's the armor of God.
It's said that love is the armor of God. What does that mean to you?
What I've discovered, and there's a book called Lives and Masters of the Far East that I read years ago, which actually they had a beautiful example of this in their book. When you send love, it's like a mirror and it turns around and goes back to them. You're not taking it on. You're not accepting it. And you can't harm love, it's impenetrable, so it's a protection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's called armor.
Like a force
So
field.
yeah, so when you understand that and I had some situations and I'm still working on one, but it's getting better. Some of these things don't heal just overnight. It takes levels and levels of saying, oh, I understand this part of it. What I've discovered is there's different aspects of each of the difficulties that you go through in different levels of energy. And so it's kind of like progression through a ladder, like going up Jacob's ladder into a better place where you finally get into accepting the truth of this has had to happen. It's not the way I wanted it,
Mm-hmm.
but it was necessary. And now I'm in a better place so I can appreciate and be in gratitude. And it's all about accepting reality. And when I was that victim, I was not in reality, but when you're in love, you are. That love is reality. So when I'm in a loving space, I don't have to respond with my abuse back to somebody else. They're wounded people.
Mm-hmm.
God bless them. They're hurting. They're sending it off to me so they don't have to feel it. I don't have to feel it either today. Yay!
Wow, that's powerful. So by simply reciting that prayer, how could, let me ask you this, how could the audience use this prayer themselves?
Well, I was told in 12 steps, you pray for the other person for what you want for yourself. And so I started out by sending love and well-being and prosperity and abundance and those kind of things out to the people I was praying for. And then the Ho'oponopono prayer came in. And so I was told, you do it for 2 weeks. Well, I'm here to tell you, sometimes 2 weeks isn't enough. Because of the sexual abuse with my stepdad, I prayed for him for 18 years before I even had a tear to break through my protection and shield of trying not to feel. Because in those days, love hurt. My stepdad said, he hit me with a 2x4 when I was in junior high school. And I said, what did I do wrong? Because I was trying to be Miss Perfect so I wouldn't get hurt. And he says, I'm only doing this because I love you. So in my growing up, love hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn that the love of the universe created me. And I was told in meditation, there's nothing wrong with you, Marilyn. You're a good person. And what I realized is I took on my parents' problems like a sponge. And that's why I'm in ACA.
Mm-hmm.
I just continued their lifestyle, but that's not me. I don't have to live it anymore. Just because they lived it, they don't have to live through me, and I can walk away and have my own life.
Amazing. Amazing.
But I pray for these people continuously. It comes up and I'll get back into it. So sometimes I'll forget, and then I got to get back into it again. It's not something that comes that easy sometimes.
All right, we have more viewers joining. So if you are enjoying this video and you have any questions or comments for either myself or Marilyn, go ahead and drop that in the comment section. Please like and share this video. And today we're talking with Marilyn Redmond. She's an award-winning author, a past life regressionist, a soul healer, a medium, and an ordained minister. And we're here talking about, she's also 84 years old today. It's her birthday. So happy birthday, Marilyn, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's here to share her wisdom and experience, the top 3 things that she's learned in these 84 years on planet Earth with us in a practical way so that we can utilize these things to improve our own lives and live the best life possible. Let's move on to the next point, which is this idea of Christ consciousness, changing your consciousness in the now. What does that mean to you?
Well, if you stay in the past, nothing changes. You just keep reacting. It's like a cycle. It goes round and around. Somebody triggers you, you react. Somebody triggers you, you react. And you just stay in that cycle, and it's not a fun place to be. I mean, for me, it was like going down the tubes. I wanted out. That's why I tried suicide. It's a 3-year-old. You don't know about divorce and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So, living in the moment, I also lived in the future because my mother and dad were raised in the Great Depression. And my mother was very worried about finances through that situation. And she was very because of her abuse and what she's gone through, she was always trying to protect herself and she was trying to be invisible so she didn't get hurt. Guess what? I became invisible trying not to get hurt. So I was living in the past and I was living in the future, and I was never in reality. I wasn't in the presence of, presence of love of God, because that was too scary. I just said, that was scary. Love was painful in my growing up. I never heard any of these things in church. I went to church for 50 years, and it wasn't until I became a spiritual program that I found out if you're living in the moment, that's the reality. That's when things can change. That's when you do your 7-step prayer. You're in the moment. That moment is real. And if you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're not in reality. Nothing can change if you're not in reality. Love comes in and does the changing. So when people think that God changed them, it's the love of the universe when you are ready to allow that to come in and be your baseline, your focus, and what you're about, and change your heart to open up to that love. I had lots of walls around me to protect me, not just the shortcomings as we talk about. I had walls and walls and walls, and I have dropped all kinds of walls to open up my heart so I could get out of my ego, my head, and into my heart, because when my heart's open, I can make heart-to-heart connections with others. And that's what I always wanted. That's why I was lonely. I never had a connection with any love. It was a connection with dysfunctional, crazy people. There's no love in that, so you're lonely. So when you're separated from that love, that's the sad part of it. And to walk in with open arms and say, God, this is what I really want, and I commit myself to being a love-based person today. What is thy will be done? And thy will is always to send love to the situation. And you're in the moment, and you're doing. See, I was always acting, my overachieving workaholic was always, because if I'm busy, if I'm productive, if I look good, I have value. Today, in the now, I am a worthy person. I have value. I am loved by the universe. My creator is my father, not my parents. They're my physical way I got here, but my father is my creator of love. I was created in that love. And if I'm in that presence of love, that's reality. That's when life can change. You can make decisions from that point of view, instead of reacting from the fear, which is the past and the future, you respond in love, and that keeps you in the presence of God, or the presence of love, or reality. You have to be right there, centered. Anything else is going to block it. So, my book Paradigm Busters has the process for getting in the space of being in the now, and learning how to meditate and be current in your life. My books are about how do you live a life in the now, and what do you need to do to get there. So it's a process, and it didn't happen overnight, believe me. But I have been so blessed, because as we move into the now, that's our inheritance can finally show up in our lives. The law of attraction is, I am the vibration I attract. I'm the magnet. Now I am attracting. One of the things I just thought was the most beautiful thing in my life. I was visiting an aunt in California who had a baby grand piano, a black baby grand piano. I was in grade school. I thought that was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I wanted a baby grand piano. Well, guess what? I'm on my own divorce, have my own money. It's not his anymore. And I ended up, God put me in a place where I could afford a baby black grand piano. And, it's in my living room today. You will attract what you want and what's right for you and what's good for you if you're in the now. That's your inheritance. It's sitting right in front of your face. You have to let down the barriers, get out of the fear, ego driven life, and be, in my case, committed and connected to God. And I pray and meditate daily.
Yep.
Thy will be done. There isn't anything, God, you and I together can't handle. It's not just me trying to run the show for protecting myself.
So it's important maybe for viewers to understand the crucial step of having like a daily spiritual practice that they practice on a daily basis, meditation, prayer, that kind of thing?
What I've discovered is, my mother taught me worry really well. And one of my sponsors says worry is an insult to God. What I found out was that you can create tomorrow. When you're in the now, you do nice things today for other people. Guess what? Tomorrow's a better day. Because when you share love, it expands. And the more you are, they call it being in service. But what you're doing is you're expanding and sharing that love. And the more you do it, the better your life comes. The next day is going to be better than the day before. So I had an experience yesterday where I was able to do some helping of others that needed some assistance. And I was able to share what I needed to in a meeting. And I came home. I felt so good. I relieved myself of the old messages that were my barriers and blockades of the past. Got rid of that. Helped some other people, and I just felt terrific. And here we are today. What better reward can when you are helping others, it comes back. What goes around comes around, and you just don't always know how it's going to come back. And then sometimes it might be in another lifetime. So don't just be patient and know that God's in charge, and it comes at the right time when you're supposed to have that reward. It'll show up.
Okay. All right, Marilyn, we have a couple comments here. Pirate says, I totally agree with what you're saying. And Ann Iva says, good morning. Can we ask Marilyn a psychic question?
Sure.
Okay. So Ann, go ahead and leave that in the comments, and Marilyn will get back to you. Again, this is Branden Densmore and Marilyn Redmond. It's Marilyn's 84th birthday today. And we want to all wish her a happy birthday. And she's here sharing some of the most important spiritual lessons that she's learned over the past 84 years of being here on planet Earth. And her new book is called A Spark of Truth. Is that correct?
We have been programmed into fear for over 2,000 years. In my book, I go through in a very short form from how it started into the current experiences we're having on the planet right now, and explaining what's going on spiritually, that we are moving from the dark into the light on the planet. We're coming into the 1,000 years of peace.
Wonderful. And also, I've made sure to include your website, YouTube channel, and blog in the description. And also, if people want to contact Marilyn, they can do so, right, Marilyn?
Oh, I'm open to it, yes.
Okay.
My email is angelicusgift6@outlook.com. Or you can call me at 208-570-8535.
Okay. And also the email, your personal email, is also in the description of the video. Thank you guys. We got some happy birthday comments coming in, and just want to thank the audience for being here today. And please comment, like, and share the video so that more people can view it. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Marilyn. I'm so happy to have done this with you today.
I'm thrilled. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been wonderful. What a birthday gift.
Yay! Yay! All right. Well, okay, here we go. So Anne is asking a question. She says, you look wonderful. Happy birthday. I like the man that I have met before several times. I will see him in August again. Do you see romance for us?
Well, I'll tell you, if he respects you and treats you well, it will be a good relationship. If any red flags show up, I wouldn't continue to pursue it. What I'm finding out is every person has a lesson when they come to us, and it's for us to change. And so if something upsets you, just remember, when I had my stroke a year ago, I was in the ambulance and I said, okay, God, what's the lesson in this one? And what I've learned is whenever things upset me, just to realize what I sent out came back. So remember, in a relationship, if something upsets you, there's a reason. What goes around comes around. Just take care of your side of the street and send love to him.
Wonderful. Corinne says, happy birthday. And Anne replied, I am just not sure if he is open to the romance with me.
Sometimes things take time for a fellow. the commitment isn't necessarily their first prize. So he's agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Be patient. Patience will bring, God works when you're in patience. That's what it's about. You let go and let God. If it's meant to be, it will come together. If it's not meant to be, it won't come together. So be patient and see how it falls together. Just send love and be available and kind and caring. And if it happens, it's meant to be.
Okay. Ward says hello. And apparently we're almost out of time. So I just want to thank you for coming on with me again. And maybe if more comments start coming in, I'm sure that more people are going to be watching this and asking questions. Maybe you can reply to those comments in the chat later after the video is over. And we're going to close out for now. Happy birthday, Marilyn. Thanks for coming on today with me, and amazing insights and giving us a lot to think about today. So,
well, thank you for inviting me. What an honor. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And we'll talk later. Bye, everyone.
I hope so. I have some other ideas I'd like to share.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye, everybody.